Use pauses to enhance the message. Use vocal variety smoothly, naturally. And he would like to have fun. He always has fun when he gives his speeches, I can tell. And try to slow down the speed of his speeches. And he's asking for 9 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, Judy. Okay, a little bit of information about Brian. Brian was born and raised in St. Louis. He's working this winter at the St. Louis Science Center, and he's in the middle of a career transition to the climate change communicator and speaker. This winter, he co-founded a climate change meetup group with over 50 members called Climate Reality St. Louis. Brian currently writes his own blog, begreenstartingnow.com, and he's a contributing writer to the website climatebites.org. Brian's passion is climate change, but he hopes to inspire you here tonight to reconnect with nature and the outdoors. The title of Brian's speech is The Silence That Speaks to Us. Brian.
Thank you, James. The silence that speaks to us. I had a friend that once worked in Everglades National Park in Florida. And in his spare time, he liked to drive up to one of the beautiful sawgrass overlooks that looked just like this. And one day when he was hanging out there, admiring the scenery, a car comes barreling into the parking lot. The driver slams on the brakes. He jumps out of his car, grabs his camera, runs up the overlook, but when he gets up there, he sees the sawgrass prairie, and he kind of hunches his shoulders, and he mumbles, "Nothing." My friend Steve stands up, smiles at him, stretches out his arms, and says, "Everything." This is a picture of me taken in 1992. For the past 20 years, I've worked in the national parks as a park ranger. And I've not changed a bit, have I? During those 20 years, I've noticed that people do not spend nearly enough time in nature. According to the National Park Service, the average visitor only spends about 4 hours visiting a national park. And of that time, 80% of that is spent actually driving around in their car. The remaining amount of that time is spent using the restroom, buying nutritious food, or buying souvenirs such as shirts. My focus here tonight is to encourage you to spend more time in nature. And we need to do that for 3 reasons. First of all, for inner peace, to balance out the turmoil in our world. Second, for renewal from the stress and obligations of our lives. And third, because nature can give us guidance on how to live our lives. First, we all know the chaos of the world is very intense right now, with war, terrorism, the economy, recession, and even gas prices. But it's important not to let these problems overwhelm us. Anne Frank, who lived 70 years ago, around 70 years ago in Amsterdam, Holland during World War II, and unfortunately she was a victim of the Holocaust. Today we know her for her famous diary, the Diary of Anne Frank. Well, at the age of 13, I think she had something profound to say about nature. She wrote on February 23rd, 1944 that the best remedy for those who are lonely, afraid, or unsure of themselves is to go outside somewhere and be quiet, alone with the heavens, nature, and God. Because only then is life as it should be, among the simple beauty of nature. In 2012, the year 2012, nature can still comfort us when it seems like the world is aiming for us. My second point, it's also important to spend time in nature, not just to escape from the outer problems of the world, but because our own problems, our own lives have so much demands on us, such as paying bills, work, school, family, and even preparing for our Toastmaster speeches here tonight. as we all know, especially Sharia, Laurie, and Don know here tonight too. Well, I think that spending time in nature also gives us the peace and courage to face our problems. John Muir, the father of American conservation, he spoke so wonderfully about this renewal 100 years ago when he was talking about Yosemite National Park. And when he was talking about Yosemite, he said, everyone needs beauty as well as bread. Places to play in and pray in where nature may heal and give strength to the body and soul alike. I firmly believe that the beauty of nature can provide us with wisdom and also encouragement and inspiration for our stressful lives. My third point is that besides nature uplifting us from the problems of the world in our own lives, nature can also give us guidance on how to live our life. If you spend enough time in nature, you may even hear your own inner wisdom talking to you, even telling you to take the short loop or the long oop there. I also think if you spend enough time in nature, you may even hear the beauty of the scenery even speaking to you. Singer and songwriter John Denver sang so eloquently about this 40 years ago when he sang, "And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High. I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. You could talk to God and listen to the casual reply. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado." Now I can hear what all of you guys are thinking here tonight. You're thinking, Brian, I do not have the time or money to travel to the Everglades in South Florida, to Yosemite National Park in California, or the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. Well, the good news is you do not have to leave St. Louis to enjoy nature. Who here has been to Powder Valley Conservation Area? Located just a few miles from us here, where Interstate 270 intersects with Interstate 44, and they've got some wonderful nature trails there to really connect with the natural world and provide some peace and renewal for you. My favorite place to go in the St. Louis area is Bee Tree Park, located in the very southern tip of St. Louis County. And I think we were supposed to have our Toastmasters picnic there last...
You did.
You did? Was it last June? I guess I missed out because I was back at Crater Lake there. But I love Bee Tree Park for the views of the Mississippi River there too. And folks, you do not need to spend much time in nature to get a sense of renewal. I think just spending 10 minutes in a natural area will do a world of good for you. Now we've talked about here tonight how nature can provide inner peace for you, renewal, and also guidance on how to live your life. But I also think that, before I end my speech here tonight, I want to share that nature can also help provide you with a sense of humor. For instance, one day a man was walking in the woods when he thought he heard the voice of God. And so he said, "God, is that you?" And God said, "Yeah." So the man said, "Well, God, can I ask you a question?" And God said, "Sure, go ahead." And so the man said, "God, what is 1,000,000 years to you?" And God said, "1,000,000 years is nothing but a second to me." So the man thought some more and he said, "God, what is $1,000,000 to you?" And God said, $1,000,000 is nothing but a penny to me. And so the man thought some more and he said, "God, can I have a penny?" And God said, "Sure, just a second." Spending time in nature can be the silence that speaks to us, even helping us provide a sense of humor to us, to wear a crazy yellow poncho when it's raining in the outdoors. Now my friend Steve that I mentioned at the beginning of my speech is no longer with us here. He actually passed away about 4 years ago from cancer. And I miss him every day. Basically all I have left of him is this picture here, as well as his wisdom and funny stories. But if Steve was here tonight, he would want me to conclude my speech by saying that spending time in nature, even if it is a sawgrass prairie, it's not nothing, it is
Everything.
Mr. Toastmaster.